to Sports, Clicks, and Politics with your hosts, Ben Hussong and me, Shawn Hannon. Welcome to episode 130 of Sports, Clicks, and Politics. I am Shawn Hannon, joined as always by the, as we can all see, handsome, charming, wonderful Mr. Hussong. Mr. Hussong, how are you doing?
I'm having a day.
It's early. It's early still.
Sorry, everybody. It's my fault we're late today.
All right.
It's on me.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, I hear.
You know what? We're just keeping them on bated breath, waiting. That's it. That's
I tried to pipe in some music to entertain him for the couple minutes. I don't know if that's going to get us knocked off. I'm only broadcasting on Rumble today because I feel like the leaked document thing is just sure to get pulled off of YouTube anyway, so screw it.
Just get ahead of it.
Yeah, just like, why bother?
I like where your head's at on that one.
So we will get to that, but since, I don't know, did your weekend include any of the Masters?
Almost 3 full minutes.
I mean, they had extra time to...
yeah, there's no excuse. I just didn't have time.
I mean, we'll get into that in, but I just want to know if that was part of your weekend. Apparently not. So you had other things on the checklist there. What was the honey-do list this week?
There was some stuff that got done and some stuff that didn't get done on the honey-do list this week. But it's not even a honey-do list. I make the list up myself.
Yeah, you're honey.
Like, yeah, we're gonna go do this. So yeah, she was at the shop for a lot of the weekend. I was left to my own devices. Got a little distracted on a couple of those days, but then got kids to soccer and everything else. And then we've got, we had Easter, obviously. So we went to Buffalo, spent the whole day there, got in about 11:30 last night. So that was a long day. Got up, cleaned ice cream machines first thing this morning, hence my tardiness today. Sorry, everybody. But
the patrons are happy that they'll have.
It's going to be warm. Those machines are clean.
Excellent tasting ice cream going forward.
That's right. They're going to be super clean. But I got to get some benches stained for the ice cream shop. I went around and picked up dog poop this weekend.
Me too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you're probably better about it than me. I don't do it at all in the winter. It's too cold.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, thank you.
I don't do it almost at all ever. I let the other people who are getting paid to do that for the most part in the household.
It's fair.
But we have extra dogs here a lot, so we have extra dog to clean up. But I carried around the bag yesterday, so.
I got the little rake thing into the bucket.
Yeah.
Normally, the first time out for the year, you're getting like 3 or 4 buckets. We have 2 dogs, so it adds up.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know better than most.
This time it was almost none. I'm pretty confident that when we had all that snow and then it rained, I don't know how bad it was on this side of the town, but we got like downpour for almost a full day. So my apologies to my next door neighbors because I'm pretty sure it all washed down the hill onto your yard.
Probably eroded though.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm fertilizer.
It is. Your lawn will be very fertilized.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh well, 'tis the season for dog pickup for sure.
Yes, it is. So now this week, I'm excited to get to remodel a kitchen. Not my own, but I'm excited because my next door neighbor is, and we're going to turn that into a group project.
Like a neighborhood project?
Yeah, there's like 4 of us involved.
Nice. There'll probably be no beers involved, right?
Maybe a few.
No, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2. We'll see.
All right. Well, we teased the Masters in the leaked Pentagon documents, which seems to get juicier by the moment here. But we'll also talk maybe a little bit Twitter versus Substack. Did you catch any of this drama that's been going on?
I did. I caught some of that.
I feel like it's already over, so we missed I think Twitter's already being like, oh no, we made a mistake a little bit and kind of retracted a little bit what they were doing. But anyway, we'll talk about that. We have a couple instances more to add to the list of abolishing the FBI.
Nice.
The growing list.
Oof. It's a bad list.
RFK announces his presidential run. That should be fun.
So awesome.
I literally hope that there's at least one debate where he's on the stage with Joe Biden. That would be awesome. So we'll get into that. But let's first talk with the Masters. But before we do that, you guys at home or on the road or wherever you are, wherever you're taking in the content, please do the show a favor. Leave us a like, share the video, share the channel, subscribe to the channel. Again, we're only on Rumble today because I feel like I'm just going to go forward with Rumble from now on, just on live, and then just upload everywhere else. So
I got no issue with that.
If you're watching this somewhere else, just know that there is a live version that happens every Monday at 12 p.m. So
there you go.
But leave us your fandom, help us promote the channel and get that out there. We have quite a good run of videos coming out there, even though I keep messing them up.
We'll stop messing them up.
I know. That's why I'm trying to just rumble today. I feel like last week I tried to get too greedy and
you got cocky.
Overwhelm the system there. But back to Rumble. They've been good to us. Not one of our episodes have ever been taken down off of Rumble.
Wow, that's a win.
Yeah. I mean, we're not pushing our envelope enough hard on Rumble, apparently.
I can get into some weird stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to do that today, though.
Oh, fine.
Maybe later.
All right.
Let's talk about... I didn't watch a lot of the Masters, but I always made sure to watch the Masters. And I think I watched actually the most important part of the Masters. And I know you said you didn't watch it, but I'm sure you're aware since I sent you the video of the falling tree that they had some weather issues at the Masters, yeah?
Yeah, they had some problems.
Yeah, so Friday, a big front came through. And much so, I don't have the video loaded up here, but many of you can if you just basically search Masters fallen tree, you'll find a video that shows a 100-foot Georgia pine falling in the middle of the gallery.
It's terrible.
Luckily, nobody got hurt. I saw a cart like darting out of the way at the last minute. They didn't even know what was happening until like it was on them. But what that did was, and the reason why I bring that up is the weather played a major role because a lot of people struggled during that wave, except for Jon Rahm. So he played in the worst wave, the worst weather part, and still, Brooks sailed I had Brooks in my fantasy team, so I thought I was looking money, and then Rahm was just too good in the weather. I think he still shot like a 4 under in the bad wave, which might have been the best round of anybody in the bad wave. But that allowed him to, for lack of a better term, weather the storm, and therefore put himself in position on Saturday and Sunday in the weekend just to close it out. And listen, I mean, I've long thought Rahm was the best golfer in the world. I'm not like breaking any kind of, news with that. He's officially the number 1 player in the world now. So, to back that up, but any Jon Rahm or, Tiger making the cut, backdoor making the cut to keep his streak alive. Cause my other fantasy guy, Justin Thomas, went 5 under in the last 4 holes to miss the cut and allow Tiger to get into the cut and then withdrew anyway. So, I don't know, any quick, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
I heard that.
I was like, hey, Tiger's going to make the cut because I'm always rooting just for Tiger just because.
Sure.
And then my guy bogeyed the last 2 holes. So not only did he move the cut line back, he also moved the cut line back and then just missed the line again. So way to go, JT. I mean, listen,
Are you alleging he did that as a favor to his good friend Tiger Woods?
So the broadcasters were making the indication that Justin Thomas had no idea, not even about the Tiger Woods things, which they didn't bring that up. I'm assuming he didn't know that. But they were making the case that he might not even know that the cut line is in play and where he needs to be. He might have think that he needs to get a birdie on the last hole instead of just parring because the cut line moved, blah, 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 whatever. But my take exactly went to exact where your head went to. I'm like, I wonder if JT knows that he can pull Tiger up, keep his 23 consecutive made cut streak alive at the Masters going, and then just cruise into the weekend. I think at that point, most people, other than Jon Rahm, probably thought that Brooks was just going to run away with it because he looked so robotically good the first 2 days, and the weather, ripped apart the field the second days there. But I don't know. The Masters is always fun to watch.
I love the Masters, and I was sorry I missed it this year. I just had too much going on.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it was just the one day I could have watched was when it got rained out. Every other time, I had no shot of getting around to watching it. I had too much on the docket. Jon Rahm's really good at golf.
Very.
Brooks Koepka is really good in majors.
Yeah.
But my favorite is that the reason that they faded is because they're just not used to 72 holes anymore. All the LIV guys, they're only used to 54. They're not used to 72. Phil Mickelson put up a show.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Man, how mad would the PGA have been if he won?
Yeah, I was hoping that there was just going to be a live glutton at the top of the leaderboard just so that people couldn't make any arguments about all that stuff.
So funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of just on team
Phil
chaos.
looked thin, too. I don't know if you saw him. He looked really thin, almost, I say, unhealthy thin.
Gaunt, if you will.
Just looked like that it came on fast. Like he must have changed his diet or something. Maybe he went keto or something. Sure. I haven't really checked into Phil's eating habits lately, but he clearly looked like he had lost some weight since the last time I saw him on TV.
Does he look like Bones?
Yes. Good job.
Thank you.
So now Jon Rahm, basically will fend off the rest of the field here for the next, probably the rest of his career as the number 1 player in the world. I feel like he's kind of reached that. I think this might be the second time he's reached it there, but I don't know. It's hard for me. He has no weaknesses whatsoever in his game. It used to be his temperament. He's got that. He's only a couple years older, and every time you get older, you kind of learn more experience and you figure out stuff isn't that important anymore. So his temperament has gotten great. And again, he has no weakness. He kills it. His irons can be, unbelievably accurate, and he makes putts. So I don't know. Congratulations, John Rahm, I guess.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I like John Rahm. It's hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, some people didn't like him because he used to be hot-headed, and that would, the golf world didn't really like people who show emotions. You're supposed to be golf clappish.
I love a good friend of mine said this when we were playing in a scramble tournament last summer, and it was the worst scramble tournament. It's like,
were you the best player in the scramble tournament?
Oh, God, no.
So I was the best player in the scramble tournament I played in last year, and I was like, what is going on?
Oh,
here?
no.
Yeah.
That's bad. Yeah, listen, I shouldn't even be the best player on a team.
I know.
All right? Let alone the tournament.
When they told me I was the ringer, I was like, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, that's not
Go
great.
ahead.
It's not great. No, so this gentleman, and we were golfing, and he's not a big golfer, and I can't call myself a big golfer anymore. There was a time when I was, but now I golf twice a year because, again, I just don't have time.
I put you on the sub list for my golf league.
I appreciate it. I might make one once or twice in between coaching 7 days a week and running 3 businesses, plus my hobby farm. So, but he made a good point, and we were playing golf, having probably my 3rd cigar of the day, and it's just slow because there's 36 groups on an 18-hole course. It's just not going to be fast. Everybody thinks they're making a green. It's a 6.5-hour round of golf. It's all the worst stuff. But we're having a blast. We're making jokes. Everybody's having fun in our foursome. It was just hilarious. And I said, you know what? It's times like this I actually do kind of miss golf. I don't play anymore, but days like this is actually fun. And my buddy made a great point. He said, golf's great. The only problem with golf is golfers. And I went, son of a gun, you're right. It is. That's exactly the problem with golf. It's just the golfers. Everything else, you're outside, you're with friends, you're probably drinking, smoking, having a cigar, whatever you're doing, whatever your chosen vice is, joking around outside for a few hours. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But,
it can always be that way. That's how it always is for me because I've removed expectations.
Yeah, it's nice when you do that.
Yeah. So then you're just like, when I hit a good shot, I'm like, that was awesome.
Right.
When I hit a bad shot, I was like, I'm an idiot.
Every time I step onto the tee, especially in a scramble tournament, since I never practice anymore, I don't do anything. Yeah. Literally, I can hear Woody Harrelson's voice in my head, like, time to nut up or shut up. And I'm swinging out of my shoes trying to get everything I can behind it.
Yeah, no, that's how I play. Maybe I've mentioned this, when I took my tennis lessons, the tennis coach was, why do you have to swing so hard? I'm like, because that's what I want to do. That's why. Because I want to hit the crazy, awesome shot. The same thing with maybe you stood over a ball where you're like, oh, I can bend it around this tree. Hold on. And then I just pull, duh. And I pull out whatever club I think I can do that with. And I'm like, oh, this is the right one. And then, I either just blade it into the woods. Yep. But I've pulled it off sometimes. And I'm like, the best ones are the flop shots. When I pull off the flop shot and I'm like,
it's a great feeling.
Oh my God, I actually did this. I hit it 50 feet in the air and it landed on a dime kind of thing.
Great feeling.
It's complete utter luck.
1 out of 10. Yep.
But there's no fun not going for the shots. That's why I'm like, the same thing. Listen, maybe I told this story. So first time I ever played co-ed softball, they required the male batters to bat left-handed, right?
Okay.
So the coach, and I'm like, all right, this is great for me. I want to see if I can hit left-handed. So the guy who's running the team's like, now listen, don't try to kill it. Just get up there. And he's walking, he goes to coach first base, and I'm like, okay, dude. And then literally the first pitch, I rip it. I swing as hard as I can off the fence in right center field.
Nice.
Laser. And the coach is like, do whatever you want. Just, you're good. I'm like, yeah. So I played the whole summer left-handed after that. It was awesome. So
good for you.
Yeah.
See, the best thing I've ever seen on a golf course, and I'm sorry for the little sidetrack here, but this is
what they tune in for.
Is my former brother-in-law from years ago. He didn't really play golf, knew that I did, was like, oh yeah, I play golf all the time. He didn't. God bless this guy. He wasn't great. You know the movie, the vacation movies with Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
This dude was Cousin Eddie, okay? Southern drawl and everything, and just says some stuff where you're just staring at him like, what? And my sister is one of the best human beings I know, so it just never made sense. So we're out golfing, and this dude literally had 37 clubs just thrown in his trunk, put them in a bag, 4 putters. It was weird. But we're golfing down in Georgia, and this good dude from probably 85 yards out gets into the middle of the fairway and pulls a 3-wood from 85 yards. And I'm looking at him like, hey, Jimmy, you sure about that? He's like, oh, yeah, I got it. And for the first time all day, he connected. But he hit a worm burner. And this ball never got more than about 6 inches off the ground and hit on a solid line right at the green. And I'm staring at the green and looking at the tee box behind the green like, oh, my God, he's going to kill somebody. I'm not kidding you. Hit a greenside bunker on the fly, exploded up, landed about 10 feet from the pin. This guy, he did it a second time. A second time from inside 100 yards, he pulled a 3-wood, blasted a worm burner, hit a greenside bunker, and ended up on the green. Do you know the odds of seeing that twice in your lifetime, let alone twice in one round of golf?
I mean, it sounds like he's mastered the Texas wedge.
I don't even know what to say to the guys there. I mean, God bless.
Keep going.
I think he shot about 170 in 18, but those two shots.
And see, if you would have coached him and he would listen to you, he would have probably hit it over, wouldn't have pulled off those shots.
He never would have tried the 3-wood from 86 yards
That's
out.
right.
You are correct.
So always play the lie, but always go for the shot. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go for the shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Mr. Gretzky said. Is that what it is?
That is.
I'm being dumb. Let's move on. You're welcome for the Golf Expo lingo of our golf careers. You just got a breakdown of our wiki golf page.
I've probably played 1,000 rounds of golf in my life, and I remember that is the first story I remember about golf ever. Is like watching this guy do that was, I think, the most impressive thing I've ever seen on a golf course.
Yeah, I would have liked it. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff on the golf course. It's great. All right, let's move into this crazy Twitter v. Substack war that has already ended. I just wanted to touch on it because I feel like this is a tendency where Elon gets it wrong a lot of times. And, I guess maybe he would point to him getting it right because he keeps saying during this Twitter takeover that we're going to get some stuff strong, but we're going to get some stuff wrong, but we're going to keep trying to figure out some stuff and get it and make it right. Right. So anyway, I was drawing attention to this because of Twitter. Well, not for me. I've known followed Matt Taibbi long before the Twitter files, but of recent Twitter files fame, Matt Taibbi posted that he could no longer share his Substack articles on Twitter. They were being blocked. The face of the Twitter files. Yeah. So he basically said, okay, well, I guess, Twitter is trying to insulate their platform from external links, and they want to keep everybody in their, the Twitter world instead of linking outside of the Twitterverse. And Matt Taibbi made a point of something like, okay, well, Twitter is no longer useful for me if I cannot share my stories. I'm not leaving Substack to go to Twitter. Obviously, he has had a very public relationship with Substack about how he left basically mainstream media, begun to do his own thing, and has been successful at doing this, and has allowed him to be independent. So I was never expecting him to leave Substack for Twitter, but through a bunch of back and forth, and this was some of the craziness was that Twitter was actually marking the Substack links like as unsafe. So if you were trying to link outside, you could hit the Substack link, but it would basically say this is an unsafe link. I don't know. It seems as though they have removed that link because I've seen people basically saying on Twitter that they can now share their Substack things. But this is people were kind of making a point that so Twitter is trying to launch a new community or a new notes, which is basically going to serve as Substack is adding a feature that looks like it could be a competitor to Twitter a little bit. So Twitter may be feeling threatened by that or whatnot. Basically, poked him in the eye and whatever. And it seems as though has, pulled back on the blocking of the Substack links, but kind of petty. I felt like it seemed dumb. I canceled my Blue after it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to let the dust settle for a little while here and stop giving them my money.
So somebody made the point that writers, journalists, etc., make money on Substack and cost money on Twitter. Like they have to pay Twitter, but they get paid from Substack. Yeah. So the idea that they're going to leave Substack and go to Twitter is insane. They're just not. Right. I don't think. I remember an interview of Elon Musk where everybody was getting on him about something with Tesla back in the day, and I don't remember what the issue was. But he told the reporter flat out. He said, "Listen, there's an old saying, and it definitely applies. Don't assign to malice that which could be caused by stupidity," which is it is. It's a old saying. And he was just saying, like, look, I'm going to get stuff wrong, and I'll change it when I do. It's not like I'm intending on doing things incorrectly. I'm going to make mistakes because I don't know what I'm looking at yet, and then I'm going to fix them. And if you look back at his career, that's been the pattern of he gets stuff wrong, but he changes, and he evolves, and he adapts, to his credit. And I think this is probably more of the same. Of you could see why he did it, but you didn't think it all the way through. And so he flies off and goes like, all right, let's do this. And then the ramifications hit and he goes, oh, all right, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And he'll fix it. And if he doesn't, well, it's his.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm saying. So, which is basically why I've just like not going to give the money. Like my original purpose of giving the money to Twitter was just to, I don't know, like as a token of appreciation to the platform. So I don't really have any, like I don't use any of the
features,
the crazy features that are necessarily coming with that. So it was just a token, if you will. But I need to see what the final product is before I start putting my money back into the Twitterverse.
Yeah, I'm just not paying for Twitter. I refuse.
Yeah. Like I said, and if I thought it would help whatever the show and figured out how to, I would re-entertain it, but not right now. I'm gonna wait.
I'm with you.
This is seemingly goofy. A bunch of high, profile Twitter accounts basically added Elon, basically saying this was dumb. Why are you doing this? And he apparently got the message a little bit, or whoever got the message, and tweaked the limiting or throttling or whatever of the Substack stuff. But who knows what's next from Elon? Like I said, it doesn't seem out of character for him to get butthurt that Substack was trying to create a rival content stream that could impact Twitter, and then him taking action against it either, right? Yeah. I mean, he seems within his wheelhouse of like, oh, you think you're going to challenge me? I'll show you, whatever. So whatever, we'll figure it out.
Listen, I think Elon Musk is who he is, and he is like what he presents himself to be on Twitter is what he is in real life. He is very hard driving, very fast moving, makes very quick decisions, and like just is not afraid to try things. So there's pros and cons to being any type of personality. He seems to have embraced his. I mean, he has the advantage of also being smarter than the average human being, I would guess. Otherwise, it's just the luckiest human being that ever lived. And he works hard, so God bless him. But I get where you might think, like, all right, why am I supporting all these other ones? And when we're hemorrhaging money out of this company, this is unacceptable. And then you realize, oh, no, wait, we have to coexist or else we're going to lose too much. So let's get it back.
Yeah, and I mean, as somebody who has no,
skin
no real interest in to survive. I mean, I would want as many free speech driven platforms as possible, right? So like blocking, attacking each other doesn't seem, best for the greater cause, if you will. So I don't know. Like, I'm glad that they have made peace, I guess. We'll see how it plays out, and if it's something is more worth reporting, we'll follow it up on here. So, but let's follow up on something that is beyond ridiculous here. Something we talked about last week. So we talked about the January 6th, the amount of informants that have been seeming to show up on January 6th on the grounds there. 40 plus informants I've seen in some of these leaked documents, but a lot of it is being generated. A lot of this information is being generated because of the Proud Boy trial that's happening in New York City. And so now I think Proud Boys had 13 people there, 8 of them informants, Mr. Hussong. What are they doing? So this is Abolish the FBI, reason 7,428.
Ish.
I have 29 in the next article here. So this January 6th stuff, I don't know. It seems as though the story was not quite what we were told, I guess. And, it's hard. So I said, I saw the 40 informants. That was, again, a leaked, I think that was a document that was submitted as evidence in the Proud Boys trial. And the 40 were broken up from 2 or 3 different groups, but all were either government informants or FBI informants specifically. I don't know. It's this. And then you capture this. So this is from a liveandletsfly.com. It's a article about airlines and air pilots and stuff like that. Yeah. FBI raids wrong hotel room, handcuffs Delta pilot. So the FBI and the DOD were performing training exercises at a hotel, and they raided the wrong room. Took the dude into his bathroom and interrogated him for an hour. Clearly, he had nothing to say. He knew nothing. He didn't know it was happening. It was probably he probably held out great.
Imagine how confused you'd be.
Beyond confused. I mean, first scared as all hell, right? I mean,
obviously. But then they're like coaching the other guy in a training way, and you're like, what is happening right now? And no matter what you say, they think it's part of the training exercise.
So FBI and Department of Defense agents banged on the door to room 1505, demanding to be let in. A Delta Airlines pilot, who was the guest at the hotel, was sleeping inside, woke up and opened the door. Agents barged in, handcuffed the man who was in his 30s, interrogated him, and put him in the shower.
What were they going to do?
I don't know, clean him. It was more than 45 minutes before they took off the handcuffs, realized their mistake, and apologized. Sources say the agents were conducting training operation and mock interrogation for Department of Defense deployment. I mean...
Wait, that's weird.
Yeah. Let me read this. Yeah, this was a joint effort.
That's super weird. Oh, boy.
This person... Their little blurb on the whoever wrote this article here. Nothing like a botched middle-of-the-night raid that resulted in a Delta Airlines pilot being dragged into his hotel bathroom, handcuffed, and interrogated for an hour to inspire confidence in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Can we just this? It needs to be reorganized so, like, it's so blatantly obvious that it's a complete broken institution.
Yeah.
And it needs to be shaken to its core and start over. I mean, this is beyond...
That's wild.
And this is not even like, I mean, it's, I guess, rare, but it's not like this is the first time that they've raided the wrong house or interrogated the wrong, like, this is, seemingly they forget to dot a lot of I's and cross a lot of T's.
All right, so I guess this is not something we normally consider of the U.S., the FBI is a domestic law enforcement organization. Yes? Agency, I guess is the right word.
This is in Boston, by the way, just for the record.
Similar to like local police departments and that kind of stuff. So I get that you're going to get some training from the Department of Defense if there's some overlap or some tactical skills that you could learn and interrogation would count. What makes me nervous is who is the FBI interrogating that wouldn't be entitled to an attorney? Like the Department of Defense goes and interrogates people, and they use some means and measures that would make your skin crawl.
I think I have your answer here in their apology.
Oh, boy.
So this is the first part of the apology. I mean, they didn't really apologize.
Obviously.
I mean, they just...
Mistakes were made.
Yeah. At approximately 10 p.m. on Tuesday, April 4th, the FBI Boston Division was assisting the U.S. Department of Defense in conducting a Department of Defense training exercise at a hotel in Boston to simulate a situation their personnel might encounter in a deployed environment.
Wait, say that again? That was like word salad.
So I'll just read the last sentences. So the training at a hotel was to simulate a situation their personnel might encounter in a deployed environment. So I'm saying deployed. I don't know if that's...
You don't usually deploy stateside.
Yeah. So maybe this was for a foreign operation, if you will, but that was scary as all hell.
That would seem to be outside the purview of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You would think so.
They don't usually do much international.
I mean, yeah. I mean, other than the fact that it's just a ridiculous bonehead thing and, you know, nobody will be held accountable for any of this. But to your point, like, what are we why are we living in this kind of a police state where our military and our FBI are conducting simulations of
how to handcuff people in bathtubs to interrogate?
Because clearly that was the plan, right? I mean, bring them into the bathtub and interrogate them. I don't know if they were probably scalding water on them.
Now you want to scare the crap out of someone, put them somewhere where there's a drain for easy cleanup and handcuff them. Like, honest to God, if you were going to scare me, come into my house armed and everything else, handcuff me into a chair and put me in a bathtub. Because I would look around and go, what are we doing? Like, what's the end game here, gentlemen?
Crazy town. So let's abolish the FBI. Figure it out. I don't know what the right answer is, but what we got going on is not it. So I don't know. Maybe a Robert Kennedy Jr. would abolish the FBI. I mean, he has plenty of reasons to. I think.
Might abolish CIA.
They're all the same.
If we're gonna be real here.
Yeah, so all right. More interest in the run up to the general election of 2024 here. The presidential Democratic field just added one. Robert Kennedy Jr. going to run as a Democrat. So, I don't know if you saw like the Jake Tapper announcement of this where he called him a anti-vax quack.
Yep.
Did you know that Jake Tapper was working with RFK like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, about what is purported to be where Jake Tapper thought he was going to win an Emmy for this, and he was working with RFK to basically show that there was a problem with vaccines. And this was going to air on ABC. This is when he worked for ABC. It's going to air on ABC. They promoted it, and then the day it came on, they didn't show it. And then a week later, they put together a rushed documentary about that kind of pushed the success of vaccines. So ever since then, Jake Tapper has been very anti-vaccine, which is...
Anti-vaccine or anti-anti-vaccine?
Anti-vaccine.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. He's anti-vaxxers for sure. So,
Got it.
But anyway, he was not alone in echoing those sentiments. Almost every article I pulled up literally started anti-vaxxer Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president, right? So, and
they're going to beat that one to death.
Right, but is it going to work since most people have suffered or experienced the last 3 years and been like, you know what? I'm going to give him a shot here. Like, I'm kind of anti-vaxxer myself now. And so, like, it doesn't carry as much weight anymore, that term.
No.
Just like racist and all the other terms that they beat to death.
Yeah, they killed homophobic, they killed racist, they killed misogynist. Like, when it's the boy who cried wolf.
Fascist.
You guys, oh my God, did they destroy that? Like, that word actually means something, and you guys killed it. And it's a problem. Authoritarian. That's another one you've absolutely murdered.
And so... the interesting part to me is if this guy actually gets on the debate stage. I can't imagine the Biden if Biden's going to be the nominee, which, still less than 50-50 that I think that's actually a thing.
Okay.
Every day it looks more and more like it, but I still think and since he hasn't actually announced yet, and there's reasons to not announce. But anyway, and he joins Kennedy. Joins Marianne Williamson, who's also running as a Democrat against Joe Biden.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Do you think Joe Biden will engage the same tactic as last time, where he will ask Barack Obama not to endorse him until every other candidate has fallen out?
I don't think Joe Biden remembers last year or whenever he ran, so he has no idea what you're talking about.
But that was the funniest thing ever when they said, "Are you bothered that Barack Obama has not endorsed you?" He's like, "No, I asked him not to endorse me."
Okay.
How stupid do you think the average human being in this country is? Because apparently pretty damn stupid.
Yeah. So I find it difficult to believe that they're going to ever share a stage with Joe Biden if he tends to be the nominee.
That would be the best thing I've ever watched.
Yeah. I mean, the DNC has clearly been shown to be corrupt and manipulative and and selective and basically authoritarian in your word there to decide who's going to represent them in the president. They do not let the people. They have super delegates in place to make sure that they vote for the right person. But I say not surprised because I was, because of the last 3 years, but a lot of what I would say, not never Trumpers per se, but like people who were open to the, maybe leaned right or libertarian or whatnot, but are very open to the idea of an RFK president. Now, I think Spike Cohen, my boy there, our vice presidential candidate in 2020, may have said it first or best here because he, I would say and my views, a knock against RFK's run is that he's an environmentalist and a very proud environmentalist and was championing the lockdowns a little bit during COVID because he thought that they were actually helping the environment, which data shows that actually was the opposite. But anyway, we'll get into how pollution makes clouds and cools the environment some other day. The totally known fact. I don't know why this is just literally not discussed ever. But anyway, so when we had no pollution for the shutdown, temperatures
went up.
Yeah. So
it's hilarious.
Spike asks, I think, appropriately, would, and I think this was on a Twitter and I don't expect an RFK to follow up on it and answer, but basically Spike, asked a hypothetical, hey, would you support lockdowns for environmental lockdowns? If we're going to, if this saves the planet, would you be in favor of that? So he's not a he's not a candidate without flaws or warts in my view, but he would present a stark contrast from Joe Biden on the stage.
Yes.
Which would, I think, should, listen, if Joe Biden is the guy, then having a stark contrast shouldn't be a problem, right? Like,
no, you
put him up
that.
on stage and like, listen, I am not that guy, right? Like, I am me. Ride it out. So we'll see. I tend to, again, think that they'll never share a stage together, but it would be must-see TV for me if they did.
So one quick note I want to make here, as much as RFK is probably the most famous anti-vaccine advocate in America, he's not actually anti-vaccine. He is just like his stance, and he's actually fairly nuanced about this is
it RFK or Jenny McCarthy?
All right, Jenny McCarthy might actually be an anti-vaxxer, but
but I mean, like,
who's more famous?
Yeah, so that's all. Side note, but
it's a good question. I still think it's Robert.
I do too.
But
I was trying to think of who was second, and she was second.
She's second. Yeah, she's there. But the biggest thing is, like, he points out correctly that there is very limited data. There's very limited double-blind studies. There's very limited good, hard support, and that the idea that we give these pharmaceutical companies complete liability immunity is insane. And that's his big thing. Is like, look, they have a place, but number one, there's too many now, because now I think it's 83 shots by the time you're 4 years old, whereas 30 years ago it was like 5. And they just keep adding on, and as soon as you call something a vaccine, it has full immunity. And once it makes the child schedule, they're not even allowed to be sued for it. So he is very, very adamant about the corruption and the incestuous nature of the relationship between Big Pharma and the entities that are supposed to regulate Big Pharma, and the back and forth that goes on. And it's his biggest thing is not nobody should ever take a vaccine. It's you should understand that they do have side effects, that rare as they might be, there are negative effects from some vaccines. That shouldn't even be a wild claim to make. It should be such an obvious, like, we don't let pregnant women take Tylenol, and you don't think there's any possibility that all of 83 different variations of shots could have some negative effect on some people? That's just bold. That's a bold stance to take. So if I can speak up in defense of Robert Kennedy, that has been his stance from what I understand. I can't tell you I've read a lot of his stuff or really looked into it much, but from what I can gather and from what I have heard, it's not that he's a Jenny McCarthy, nobody should get vaccinated because you're all going to die from your autism. It is hey, there's some things here that people should know if they're going to really have informed consent.
Yeah, let me read what RFK wrote when he was entertaining the idea of running for president. He said, if I run, my top priority will be to end the corrupt merger between the state and corporate power that has ruined our economy, shattered the middle class, polluted our landscapes and waters, poisoned our children, and robbed us of our values and freedom. So, yeah, a lot of people can get behind that message, right? So, I want to be excited because I want there to be substantive of debates, specifically about COVID. And I think that the only way that happens is if it's going to be on the it would be great for it to happen on the Democrat side. So listen, I'm still open to the idea that it's, I don't know, Michelle Obama and Pete Buttigieg to run in 2024. So
you mean Mike Obama?
Whatever.
Still my favorite of all conspiracy theories is that one. I love that one. I don't actually believe it, but I think it's the best thing I've ever heard. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So
we should show that clip someday of Joan Rivers. Did you ever see that one? Joan Rivers, like just before she died, she was walking into a building and some independent journalist like, Joan, do you ever think we'll have a gay president? She stops, turns around and looks at him and she goes, come on, we already have one. Michelle is a man and her and Barack are gay and it's not a big deal. And then just walked away. And the reporter just says, okay, speechless. And that was the first clip I ever saw about this. And I was like, is that a thing? Turns out that is a thing. If you go on the internet, start looking around, you can find some stuff. And it's amazing. But it's neither here nor there. Sorry, I can't help it. I love that conspiracy theory almost more than any of the others. Because here's why. If it's true, number one, it's a massive cover-up. But number two, who cares?
Yeah.
There's no negative ramifications to any of it if it's true. It's just hilarious. It's just funny.
I mean, you know, obviously would put a new twist on the statement from newly elected President Obama, and then switching to his second term where he was still evolving on the idea of gay marriage.
Awesome.
All right. I guess most people here have probably heard the dog barking in the background, so I apologize for that if that's the case. But if not,
get over it. It's a cute dog.
I didn't say anything. So anyway. All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Let me remind everybody to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening at home or on the car with your podcast, please leave us a 5-star rate and review. It does help us with the to fight the algorithm overlords.
Sure.
Atone for your sins, they say.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this. Classified docs leak on social media in possible deliberate move to hinder Ukraine efforts. Now, I clearly pulled this one out on purpose. This is the Daily Beast. You know, I mean, whatever. But
that's okay.
What I wanted to show was where some of the mainstream media outlets kind of went with the information as it was being released, because there's way more information out there than just that. Russia, I pulled up Yahoo here, another mainstream media outlet. Russia laps up interesting leaked Pentagon documents, right? So apparently Russia likes us a little bit.
This is the international version of Republicans pounce.
Something like that. So I got this real dense article here that was written with a lot of the who kind of went through the documents, but let's do a general overview here. So more than 100 classified documents detailing U.S. national security secrets have been leaked on social media, purportedly exposing crucial intelligence on Ukrainian military operations in a breach that could be a boon to Russia. So that's how it's being painted, right?
It's hilarious.
Russia loves this. This is all great. So just a couple things of note that people have been touching on here, which I think are important. So the first thing that most people also in the mainstream media talk about is the casualty reports, right? So there was a casualty where they had Ukraine killed in action, they had Russian killed in action, they had rough estimates. I think they were in like the 40,000 range for Russian and like the 17,000 range for Ukrainian. There was what seemed to be a clearly altered version of that document, slide or whatever, being shared by Russian apologists, if you will, with distorted stats that kind of showed less people being killed in Russia, more in Ukraine, whatever, clearly showed. And most people who have seen the original documents have pointed out that it's being shared in error and it's a fake. So,
okay.
Now on that, 40,000 seems like a lot for Russia to lose. Like, I mean, if the U.S. lost 50,000 or 40,000 troops, that would clearly be a thing. So that maybe is a knock or shows some effectiveness of the war or whatnot. I don't know if killed Russians is a measure of effectiveness, but I guess it's war, so it is. But some of the other things, I think the one that was getting most traction that I saw was the notion that Ukraine's air defenses were going to be basically largely depleted by mid-April. It's April 10th.
It's almost mid-April.
Almost mid-April. They said by mid-April, early May. So we have like 2-3 weeks here or when we're receiving these documents. We don't know when these were actually written, I don't think. But when they were released, we are in that time frame right now where we are approaching mid-April. So whether or not Ukraine has a depleted air defense right now is seemingly likely. And I will say that for anybody who thinks that they're, misinformation leaked or whatever, nobody has denied that these are, other than the casualty slide that was being shared, there's no denial of any of these other information as being fake or not fake. So tacitly telling us that they're real or verifying that they're real, we don't really know, I guess. We never will know, but some of the other stuff. So apparently the U.S. has been spying on Ukraine because we have not been able to get what we deem accurate information from their intelligence officers. Weird.
I'm shocked.
Also, that China has some red lines, if you will, that if they thought, like, for example, if China thought that if Ukraine attacked Moscow, China would believe that was full-blown U.S. intervention and would be taking as a a U.S. attack on Moscow and not a Ukrainian attack, because they didn't think that Ukraine had the ability to actually attack Moscow, and that if it was going to, it would have to be U.S. backed. So these were one thing that where China was basically saying, hey, if we see a couple of these things, then we know U.S. is involved much greater in a much greater way than they're letting on. It seems bad. There's been two different leaks. One happened Friday, or overnight Thursday into Friday, and then another one happened Friday, which kind of, the double dump, if you will, kind of has caught with seemingly the Biden administration off guard, and the Pentagon, and they're kind of scrambling. They've been trying to actually scrub some of the documents off of social media sites, as it's impossible. Like, they're out. Like, I have them, so like everybody has them. So this makes me think of the Pentagon Papers for some reason, and hoping that maybe that there's a similar outcome where that kind of realizes, like, hey, what the hell are we doing here? And maybe we should get the hell out of here. I'm hoping that this actually sheds enough light in enough areas that we should wind this down. This should be over. Like, Zelensky and Putin and whoever needs to moderate that need to get in a room and figure it out and get this thing over with, because it seems though there's enough enough information that puts the U.S. in a bad light that I don't think it's like controlled opposition or misinformation, whatever, put out there to try to drum up support for more Ukraine troops or more air support from us or whatever. I do think that it was a legit leak. So I don't know. Do you have any initial hot takes from any of those things that we talked about there, or anything else that you may have come across in your looking into this?
Any country that is a party to any type of combat or geopolitical struggle is going to utilize propaganda for their own benefit. And whether you want to acknowledge it or not, America is in fact privy and a part of this proxy war. They are involved. They have a vested interest in the outcome. As such, you can count on propaganda from Russia, from Ukraine, from America, from Germany, from China, from everybody else. Please stop thinking that we are the light at the hill, or the light on top of the hill and the beacon of freedom that would never engage in such duplicitous actions from our government. We do. I think the notion that Ukraine has the capacity to invade Moscow is, without the support of the United States and its allies, is actually pretty well founded. They don't. I don't see how they could do it. Their Air Force is significantly smaller, like laughably smaller than what Russia can put together. And if their air defense is going to be gone within a month, that's maybe going to bring about the end of this, I would think.
I hope. It's either going to bring about the end, or we're going to just go both feet in, right? I mean, that's only those two options.
So I don't think that they have the support that they would need to go all in, short of some type of, I don't want to necessarily label it a false flag, but I can't imagine Russia is stupid enough to do anything to provoke the Americans directly. They're not going to go and blow up an American plane or anything else. It's just, we would all love to believe that our enemies are stupid, but they're usually not. All right. So you got to find a new vice that they have. Most people that are in these positions, maybe with the sole exception of our own country, the person in charge is usually fairly intelligent. Actually, you know what? Whoever is in charge probably is very intelligent. It's just not who we think is in charge. I just want this war to end. I want a peaceful solution so that they can stop sending people to go and die for their own benefit. I don't know how much money Volodymyr Zelensky is making right now, but I know he has offshore accounts and is making plenty of money. I know that they were going to sue for peace until Boris Johnson showed up a little over a year ago and said, no, you're not, and then they stopped. And here's the problem. The people that really want this to keep going don't have a vested interest in the people actually doing the fighting, the killing, and the dying. They have a vested interest in the lines on a map, in some of the money that's flowing back and forth. But what's ultimately going to come from this? Like, whoever wins, whoever loses, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people will be dead. For what? I mean, genuinely, it's not some grave threat to the existence of Ukraine. This is geopoliticking at a high level. A lot of it while it is horrible that Russia invaded Ukraine, it's not illogical. If they're reading the map and they're seeing that NATO keeps expanding and America keeps moving out and is not looking to do much economic activity with Russia, guess what Russia really needs? They need a seaport. Like that. It's not insane to think. It's terrible. It's awful, but it's not illogical. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to take over the world. No, they needed a seaport. They need natural gas reserves. Like, don't overthink it. So I just want this to stop. I want to, let's sue for peace. Let's have America lead the way. I mean, if we can have China negotiating peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia, I like to think that maybe America could broker a peace between Russia and Ukraine if we wanted to.
Speaking of that, this is a side note, but kind of related. Yemen.
Is it official?
I mean, they had a meeting with the Saudis.
Good.
And Obama's war could be over. It is Obama's war. He started it.
God. He acknowledged publicly he did it to placate the Saudis. Like, we don't have any vested interest in Yemen getting bombed off the map. And the people in charge of Saudi Arabia, the family that's been running that country since the end of World War II, I want you guys to bear with me here. They're not good people. But they're our strongest ally for the last 50 years in the Middle East.
Yeah, let me bring up one more thing since we're talking geopolitics. Remember when France bought some oil or settled some oil in yuan last week?
Mm-hmm.
Macron sparks anger by saying Europe should not be a vassal in U.S.-China clash. So Emmanuel Macron, the prime minister, president of whatever of France, has basically said that Europe should step away from being reliant on the U.S. as far as economic and military and whatnot. He's getting killed over it. But I think the tides have turned globally here, and we are going to suffer an alienation across the globe that I don't think anybody's ever really received before, because I don't think any other country has deserved one. I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to ancient Rome, I guess. But
England, the British Empire.
I think the world has flipped a switch on us, and nobody knows it yet.
You know who might deserve it worse was Belgium in like the colonialization period of the 17 and 1800s. Nobody considers Belgium to be like this badass international player. They were. They just didn't do much in Europe. But in Africa, ooh. So here's the catch-22.
You got to know your strengths.
What?
You got to know your strengths.
Fight where you can win. I guess that was Belgium's strategy. So here's the catch-22 of it all. That as the world becomes increasingly smaller, as we get away from the international trade agreements that we've had for so long, with America providing the security for the rest of the world, we've mentioned it on the show before, we are in a time of unprecedented peace in Europe. It's never gone this long without a war before, and a large part that's because we've been providing the naval defense and security and open borders, not open borders, but open trading, free trade with Europe, and helping them get reestablished after World War II, and it's just continued. Now, if you're going to get away from that, if you're going to go much more domestic and much more self-reliance with individual trade agreements between countries, America is the one you really, really want to have a trade agreement with. Like, that's the catch-22, is they can't completely isolate America. America's like the only or one of very few countries in the world that could actually sustain itself and survive without any international trade. That we just don't need it. We have rivers, we have the Great Plains, we have resources, we have oil, we have everything we would need, and most countries are not in that position. So it's easy to imagine why countries want to decouple from America, especially in light of how belligerent we have been on the world stage for most of my life. At the same time, it's not an easy decision to do that, because if you're going to, you better find a way to replace what we offer. Between the size of our economy is laughably big compared to most European countries. I mean, our California is in itself a larger economy than almost anywhere else in Europe. It's unfathomable how big our economy and our economic activity is as a driver around the world. Does that mean they're really not going to do it? No, because they can't keep going with the status quo, but the change is not as easy as or as simple as you might want it to be.
Yeah, listen, I think these companies or countries all know that whenever the reckoning happens, it's not going to be pretty for anybody for whatever reason. But if they lay enough of the foundation now, when it does happen, they'll have something to build back from. And that's where they are at. I mean, I think these other countries know that the U.S. is basically got a shelf life, and it's sooner than later. And all these other countries are moving on without us. And I'm not sure that we're going to take it that well.
I mean, listen, this is another old saying, but it was best attributed to cocaine Mitch McConnell. Come for the king, you best not miss. So if you're going to make a play for America, holy crap, don't mess. Don't screw it up.
And I totally get that for sure. And obviously our military is what it is.
Our intelligence agencies are what they are. Military aside, like our military is going to struggle.
It seems as though we are devolving into a, U.S., Israel, and a handful of other countries, and everybody else.
I mean, listen, a multipolar world would not be the worst thing ever. It would have increased wars. It would have more strife and fighting.
I don't know. We didn't have any wars when Russia was, we were, a duopoly, if you will.
Of course we did.
I mean, not like World War. I mean, it stopped, I think, having the second.
Eastern Europe would like a word with you about your rendition of history.
I'm just saying that when you have two powers, when you have one, we've been able to run roughshod over everybody and nobody does nothing. When you have a second, you at least have to have a line where you're like, I'm going to butt up against that line. And there's less opportunity for there to be a massive global war.
Yes,
I think.
I don't necessarily disagree, but the proof is in the pudding, and it's been a long time since we've had one in America. Has really been the unipower for most of that time frame now.
Yeah, right. And the Middle East would like to have a word with you.
I mean, the Middle East would like to have a word, right? So, I mean, this is my point. If the idea that it's not going to be perfect, and we have to let go of perfect as a goal. Because we're humans. We are by nature imperfect. And as long as we have countries and borders drawn on maps, we will have war. It's just that simple. I wish we didn't. I wish we wouldn't fight over who gets to own any one section of land. I wish we could get past that. I'm just not optimistic that in my lifetime I will see that. Short of, pole shift devastation, and there's a couple million of us left over.
The Great Reset.
I mean, that's the God reset more so. The Great Reset aside. If short of something like that, with our current evolution, I don't know how we get back that far. I think we can all acknowledge the error of our ways of how bad this has gotten for some, but how amazing it's been for overall too. Like world hunger has almost never been lower. The number of people dying from all these different things is great. Medical technology's come a long way. I guess my point is it's never, ever, ever as simple as it's yay or nay. It's good or bad. It's plus or minus. Everything is going to have both, and I guess this is where the Thomas Sowell in me will come out. It's not about a policy. It's about trade-offs. It's not about, hey, we always want to have good. It's what are you willing to give up for this policy? Because every policy involves trade-off no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how this is all going to end. And like I said, I thought it was going to be kind of like decades away, but I don't think that anymore. Where I think the switch has been flipped. I think that our economy is in free fall. I think our empire is in free fall along with it. And it's only a matter of time before we just feel the thud. Like it's a question of when, not if.
All right, I'm 100% on board. I want to make sure, just make a point abundantly clear. I'm not cheering for it. I'm telling you, it looks. If I'm reading the tea leaves, this is what's happening, and this is what's coming. And if you ask me why am I not going to go and chant, well, we better let us continue to run roughshod to save it. I can't get on board because I've seen the ramifications of our policies across the world. So I'm not cheering one way or the other. Sadly, I'm looking at it and just going, everybody better get ready because road's going to get bumpy.
Yeah,
there's just no way around it.
I pulled this up, but I had a Facebook friend who attended Aaron Lewis concert. Was at Del Lago a couple days ago.
Okay. The guy from Stain.
That's right.
That dude's amazing.
So
he's off the rails. I love him.
Yeah. So he stopped mid-song.
Yes.
And went off on the dollar collapsing and all just literally on a 2.5 minute rant in the middle of the show.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. So So it's out there. I mean, other than, sports, clicks, and politics, we've got you covered. But us and Aaron Lewis.
And Roger Waters.
And then others.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there if you look. Most people just don't know where to look, right? That's the problem.
Fair.
So
most people don't want to look.
Direct all your friends to us. We'll steer them right.
Most people don't want to look. That's the other half of this coin.
There's definitely a large percentage of that. So ignorance is bliss, they say.
Amen. All
right. Anything uplifting you would like to leave the folks with for until next Monday?
Yeah, listen. Change is always scary, but it's not necessarily bad. And change is inevitable, so therefore, why fight it? Like, instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses and all this other stuff, get a good group of friends that you can help take care of each other and just be freaking kind to each other, because everybody's got crap going on that you don't know about. So there's no good reason to not be kind. And even if you think someone is an absolute selfish prick, they're probably not that bad. And somewhere there are people that like them. Playing the odds. Of course, there's going to be 1 out of 100 that just suck.
Yeah, I mean, today's my birthday, and
Is
so
it really?
yeah,
and happy birthday.
Well, thank you. But so I've noticed that a bunch of people who hated me for the last 3 years wish me happy birthday on Facebook today.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I like it. See, I'm happy about that. That makes me.
I'm kidding.
Makes me
I'm
feel
kidding.
happy.
I'm kidding.
Listen, you do set people off on Facebook, but keep in mind, social media is not real life. People will say things on social media that is just talking shit.
Yeah, that's what
it was just a comment that you were never going to read. It's not the equivalent of me looking you in the face and being like, hey, idiot. This is the dumbest take I've ever seen, and you're an idiot, and everybody's dumber, and you're going to get people killed. Like, I would never say that to somebody's face, short of it being qualified or required, appropriate. Pick your word. On Facebook, it happens all the time. Same with Twitters and total strangers, where you're like, wow, what an interesting way to approach a conversation with a total stranger. I've said that to multiple people on Facebook when I used to post a lot. And people are like, you're an idiot. I'm like, wow, what an interesting approach to generate a conversation with a total stranger. Let's back up. What did I say that was incorrect? Where am I wrong? And it was just like, hey, let's try to be civil. We're all in this together. The people that you're following don't give a shit about you. I promise. They will sell you down the river for 5 votes. Without a second thought, and they'll forget your name even if you were their best friend. So forget them. All right? Take care of each other. Be good to each other. Wish Shawn a happy birthday.
Leave the show a like if you can't buy me anything.
I'd sing happy birthday to you, but I don't want to drive down viewership. Yeah,
no.
I got no kind of singing voice.
We're good on that. So.
All right, fine.
All right. Well, I guess to end the birthday edition of Sports, Clicks, and Politics, I thank you all for joining us. I thank Mr. Hussong for joining us. We will see you all again next Monday.